was trying to call me on the live on the phone, so it might have stopped. Okay, so okay, so the previous video had paused because someone tried to call. Again, I'm new at this, so obviously I had to end the live and restart it. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm upgrading a new panel from 100 to 100. And as you can see, I have all my wires here. I'm not concerned about these wires. Okay. This is the old panel, which is basically a fire hazard. So I'm going to be replacing it with a new panel. Reason I'm replacing this panel is the customer did a upgrade to the basement, so they wanted a 200 amp service, but because of the expense, I simply advised them to go to gas appliance, which is gas stove and gas dryer. So basically now what you have is I took out the old panel. If you watch my videos later, you'll see that I removed the old panel. I installed the new panel. Obviously, I flipped this panel the other way. A normal panel, you will have the breaker facing up. There's a code rule where this breaker cannot be a certain height. So right now, this breaker is basically the way I have it. I'm within my height. I am allowed to flip this breaker, flip this panel the other side. So that's for that reason that you're seeing the breaker is on the bottom and not on the top. So right here, what we have here, we have this is basically the ground wire bonding. It will bond whatever equipment you have in the house. It goes back to the ground. So this is what the inspector will be looking for. Mainly my bond wire onto the neutral bar. So basically I have until this panel is not live, it's dead. The service is dead right now. Of course, you're not allowed to work live unless you have the proper equipment to work live. And please don't try this at home. If you need your electrical work done, call a licensed electrical contractor to do your work. Also, I have a window of time before the inspector will show up. So for this reason, I'm not too concerned about these wires. They're not my main concern right now. My concern is just to have these wires installed before the inspector comes. Once he shows up, I have these installed. He will give the go-ahead to turn the power back on. Once he gives the go-ahead to turn the power back on, I will leave the breaker in the off position and I will continue to do my work. As you can see, I have a lot of wires here. So for that reason, this wire here obviously is from the old meter. So I'm not going to be using these wires, so I'm just going to roll these wires like that, and I'm going to tuck these wires behind here because I don't need them. Okay. This ground here is basically if I was there's a new system in place where you have a new meter base that takes a ground. So I'm not using this ground here. Okay, that's not my concern right now. And as you can see, I have my no-lots here. It's called oxidize. Okay, this is it here. This wire is aluminum, so by code, I need to oxidize these wires. Okay, you can see that I have this stuff here. It's all oxidized. Okay, and now I'm just going to install my main feeder cable. And once my main feeder cables are done installed, I can start reinstalling my wires. Always remember to just tighten up your lug nuts, okay, as tight as possible. There is a code rule for tightening this stuff, so you don't want to overdo it. Okay. So that's in there. That's fine. Now I'm gonna go on to basically my breaker. I'm gonna tie these wires in, and once I tie these wires in, then it's basically waiting for the inspector to show up and give the go ahead to turn my power back on, so I can continue with my job. However, I will continue with my job once I'm done tying in the main, and I will just be waiting for the inspector. As you can see here, okay, so that's one cable done. Up, Real Life TV, big up. So basically what I'm doing today is a change out from an old panel to a new panel. I'm waiting on the inspector to come and give me the go ahead. Once he comes and gives me the go ahead, I'm good to go. They can turn the power back on. So right now this panel is not live. There's no power here. Are you able to sign off your own? No. So right now I'm waiting on the inspector to show up to give me the go ahead. He's basically going to come here. He's going to check my work, make sure everything is to code. So basically what my main concern right now is here. So he's going to come. Compartment is fine. Once he comes, he checks, he makes sure that the compartment is good. He will call Hydro to come and turn the power back on. I leave the breaker in the off position because I'm not supposed to be working live. If I do work live, I have to have the proper equipment, the proper suit, proper face shield, everything in order for me to work live, to be working live. So for that reason, I will leave this in the off position and I will continue my work as I go. So like I say, my main concern is just to have this compartment done for the inspector and I'm good to go. And as you can see here, this is aluminum. So with aluminum, you use no lots. You oxidize the aluminum. It helps with the makes the wire work properly, because it is aluminum. So by code, you're supposed to be using this. Okay. So basically, what I'm going to do now is going to tighten my screw up here. I'm going to tuck this wire in the back. I'm going to leave that like that. And once the inspector comes, he's going to take a look at my stuff here. Again, you don't want to tighten it too tight. Okay, and basically that's it. I have my neutral here. Okay, this is my neutral. This will be part of powering up my panel. I have my ground here. Okay, if you can see here, you'll see I have you'll see where this goes. So this ground here basically goes back to the earth, onto a ground plate, and it will basically protect you, protect the house. You basically need to be grounded. Inspector signs off on the panel, and then you wire it up. So basically, the inspector is going to come. He's going to sign. He's going to make sure that this stuff is good. He's going to sign off. He's going to call Hydro. Hydro will come. They will turn the power back on. And then once the power is back on, so basically right now I'm going to continue with this wiring here until the inspector comes. In US, many houses built it from wood. How Lego? Why? Because ITS cheap. Why not more building with beaten? In US, many houses building from wood. How Lego? Why? Because ITS cheap. Why not more building? I'm not sure. Plumber here, you're in Canada? Yes, I'm in Canada. I'm in Ontario. That's where I work. Ontario, GTA, Toronto area. Mostly GTA area, Ontario, GTA and surrounding areas. Okay, so like I said, Hydro will come, and they will, once the inspector signs this off, up as a Mario. Once the inspector comes, you'll sign this word off, and I'm good to go. As long as my stuff is good, my no lots, the whole 9 yards. Again, I'm not using this wire. This is an old wire for the CT. So I don't need this wire, so I'm just going to tuck this wire behind here. Not really too concerned about that. Okay. And again, this is a 100 amp panel swapped out to a this was the old panel. In Ontario, this panel is a fire hazard. So this is an Eaton panel, 100 amp Eaton panel, very efficient, works fine. You never have any problems with it. Cool, I'm in BC, just immigrated from America. You from Bahamas, Trinidad? No, I'm from Barbados, buddy. Okay. So there you have it here. As you can see, I flipped my panel. You can see the breaker right now is on the bottom. There is a code rule. This breaker has to be within a certain height. I believe it's 1.7 meters. I think up one uncle. So this breaker has to be a certain height. So right now the service came into the bottom, and because I cannot take this panel and flip it the other way, I installed the panel upwards. It's not the usual style, but you are allowed to flip panels as long as you stay within your height of the breaker. So for that reason, you're seeing that the breaker is on the bottom and not the top because this panel is flipped around. If I was to try to put this panel the other way, I will have to change all the pipes coming in. I will have to do a whole lot of stuff that I don't want to do. So I basically reinstall it the same way, where I wouldn't have any issues. And as you can see, this is the panel cover here. So once I go to install my panel cover, it barely makes it, okay? It barely makes it. So I'm good to go. I'm not really too concerned. As long as this cover goes on, that's all that I care about. Then you have, you can see these are all my new circuits that I ran. It's a basement upgrade that the client did. So basically, I'm changing out the panel today so they can have power, and they can continue to live, you know, peacefully in the basement, because right now there's no power in here because the panel wasn't changed out. So that's why I'm doing the service change today. Like I said, there's quite a bit of wires in here. Normally what I do is I will start off with my, have you seen any water heaters that run off a 20 amp circuit? I have 3 up here, all on 20 amp. Water heaters. Water heaters, no, I haven't seen any water heaters. But if you're running off of 20 amps on a water heater, I have 3 up here, all on 20 amps. You have to check, you will have to check on the actual nameplate to see if you're allowed to do that, but I don't think, I think you might be max out, because 20 amps, 3 water heaters. I'm not really sure what it's drawing. You have to look at the nameplate and see what the water heater is drawing. As Hey, up TSC exclusive. You have to look at the nameplate to see what the water heater is drawing. Not really sure, so you'll have to look at the nameplate. Okay, so basically right now I'm done. I'm going to, the inspector is going to be here any time now, I guess in between 11 and 1. I'm not really sure what time he will show up. They don't normally tell me. They will just give me a time frame in between 1 and in between 11 and 1. So basically I will have to wait for them to show up. Meantime, I'm waiting. I will tie in my other circuits. Bonite, I will tie in my other circuits while I'm waiting. It's going to be a long day for me, obviously. I've been out the house since 6 in the morning. Reason being is I have to come here. I have to take the old panel off. I have to label my wires. Most of the wires wasn't labeled. So once I'm ready to go, I have to now walk through the house and relabel everything that wasn't labeled. Um, and that's required by code. This panel has to be labeled by the time I'm ready to turn it on, and I will have to submit pictures to the inspector showing that the panel is labeled properly. So if the panel is not labeled, what he will do is he will he will he will pass this today. He will turn the power back on, but he's not going to give me my final. He's not going to issue me my final um, certificate for the client. So this panel has to be labeled once I'm done. I'll have to walk throughout the house, label everything, and make sure all the writing is on the panel. Um, so basically, if you see here, this right here is, you see I have the anti-short No, I haven't had. I try to be nice with the inspectors. Try to stay on the good side. Once you stay on the good side, you usually don't run into problems. Um, so this right here is a 12.2, um, 12.2 AC90. Trade name is BX. As you can see, I have this. This is an anti-short, which is required by code. I have to install this between the wire and the aluminum. So this is for my AC, um, my AC wire. So always remember when you're when you're doing your panel, never to install this on the neutral because you will damage the AC. This is actually not a neutral wire. Okay, this is two hots. Some people might get confused and think it's a neutral and it goes on the neutral bar. It doesn't go on the neutral bar. It's two hots that feeds the AC. And here you see I have my regular wires. These are my regular wires going up throughout the basement. This is my dryer. Okay, this is my stove wire. Um, these wires here are basically on the old system, which is it's a split receptacle, meaning that in the kitchen, sometimes you will have a two of your plugs will be actually hot. One on the bottom, one on the top. It's the old system. So I will obviously it's the old system. It will go on. It will go on to a. Let me get my stuff here. So this will be the breaker that I will be using. It's a 15 amp 2-pole breaker. Okay. This is basically going to be for this. So basically, I have to put this panel the same way that I got it. The rule is if I'm replacing a panel, I do not need to put arc fault breakers on the old stuff, but I have to replace like for like. So if I take off a 2-pole 15 amp breaker, I have to reinstall a 2-pole 15 amp breaker. So I have 3 cables like that, like you can see. Okay, these 3 cables are all going to take this 15 amp 2-pole breaker. Then I basically have my 40 amp 2-pole, which will go on my stove. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be using today, along with a lot of 15 amp breakers. I'm also going to be using my arc faults. So this is my arc fault breaker. It's a special breaker. Hopefully they gave me the proper one at the supplier. Usually with the new panel, you don't need the tail, okay? And I believe that this one should be fine. The old one, there's a different breaker, arc fault breaker. It has a pigtail that comes out. You usually install it, and you usually tie your white wire onto the bus bar here, the neutral bar, and then you will take, for instance, the white wire, and you will go into here. But this is not the old breaker, it's the new breaker, but it works the same way. And the arc faults, basically in Ontario, you have to use them throughout your basement. The only place that don't get an arc fault will be your countertop receptacles, your GFI in your washroom. What else? Your lights. You can put your lights on an arc fault, but normally I don't, because any little overcurrent it will trip. So I try to avoid putting my lighting circuit with receptacles. Okay. Okay. So this again, this is a 15 amp arc fault breaker, and these breakers I'm going to be using for the basement. I'm not using them for anything else upstairs, because upstairs was already done, so I don't need to put my arc fault breakers. And also, as you can see, I had to remove a couple of the stuff here to clear the path so I can install my panel. So right now everything is cleared out. I will reinstall everything once I'm done. Um, as you can see on the side here, there's not much room. I had to, not much room to play with here. Okay. All right. So again, this is just a quick live for me to just uh, show you guys what I'm doing today, how I do my service, also how I tie in my hots here, how I tie in my ground wire, and how I tie in my neutral wire. Okay, so basically I'm going to do a walkthrough of the basement, and then I will finish off the video. Um, like I said, I don't have much time. So I'm going to do a walkthrough here, just to show you guys what I did here. So here you can see I have a smoke detector. It's the new style smoke detector. So whenever someone is living inside the basement and they're renting out the basement, you have to change your smoke detectors. It has to be the strobe kind. So this is the strobe. It's a strobe like strobe. It also talks. It also the deaf can hear. The blind can the blind can hear, and the deaf can see. So once I touch this smoke detector here, okay, this will basically show me a strobe light. As you can see, the light. I'm going to cancel it. Okay, I don't want to. Okay, so I just basically cancel that out. I don't want it to be obviously going off inside the house. So you can see I have a couple pot lights here. Again, this is the finished basement. This here will get a blank cover plate. As you can see, I have all my material. I'm just waiting here. These are my outlets, my switch here. I have one more receptacle here, as you can see. Inspector. And then as you can see here, I have my steer lights. I had to add a couple steer lights on the side here. There's about 2 lights on the side that I added. This is obviously control from the upstairs. There's a 3-way switch on the upstairs. So they can basically come downstairs. They can turn off the light from downstairs. They don't need to go back upstairs and turn off the light. Then inside here, I have one smoke right outside the bedroom. And as you can see here, I have a couple receptacles in the hallway. And then I have a couple lights here. Now again, the client obviously moved in. They obviously couldn't wait, so they have their stuff all here. So if you can see here, I have some pot lights here. I have my smoke detector inside the bedroom. Each bedroom will have a smoke detector. Then I also have this couple lights here in the living room area. I have receptacles. Obviously, you're not going to see all the receptacles because they've moved in. I have one smoke detector here. Again, I followed the drawing. This is where it was called for in the drawing. I obviously pulled it back a little because once they're in the kitchen, which is pretty close here, if I had moved this a little bit closer, this smoke detector will trigger once they start to cook. So this is a fridge receptacle here. Originally it was supposed to be here, but it was moved to here by the contractor. So basically what I did was I made connections. I put my blank cover plate, which is required by code. So I'm to code. I have one receptacle here. There's a counter here. It ends. So I need to put my receptacle here. Then I have another receptacle here. You have some pot lights here. And then again, you have the stove. There's a certain, there's a requirement from the bottom of the floor to the center of the box that you have to follow. So that's for the stove. And right here, you see, if you can see, I have an emergency light. So some cities, they will ask you to install a emergency light on the drawing. Basically what it is once the power is off, the customer or the homeowner can exit the house. It's only in certain areas where they will ask for this emergency light. Most jobs I don't put them on, but when I do see it on the drawing, I will install it. And as you can see, I have two switches here. This is for the washroom. The reason why it's on the outside is because there's a rule. So basically, they're able to step out of this shower and come here and touch this switch. So I don't want that. You cannot have that. So I basically put this on the outside. You can see I have a couple lights here. And I have my GFI. And then you can see I have my switches here. This switch here will control these two lights here. This switch here will control the light in the furnace room. And this switch here will control the actual furnace shutdown. So the reason why I have this switch on the outside is because there's no room inside of here. So some inspectors, or there's a code where you have to install this switch on the outside, and I provided one receptacle here. There's one receptacle that's provided for the room. Okay, and as you can see, I have a special light cover here. It's a special light that's required with a cage. You can go with just a regular light bulb. You can put a plastic cage on top of it, but sometimes those plastic cages, they give problems. So I try to avoid not using them. And then you have the washer and dryer here. Obviously, it's a gas. They've put a gas here. So, okay. And then you go on the outside here. I provided them with one light on the outside, which is required. Okay. And basically that's it for this with a switch. Okay, so that's basically the basement. Like I said, it was a basement job that I did here. So all I'm doing right now is changing out my panel so I can have inspection, and I can close off this job. So basically right now, what I'm going to be doing, as I said, is I'm going to finish off tying in my grounds, tying in my white, my neutrals, and also tying in my power breaker, my power wires. And so that's it for my video. Also, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Thank you all for tuning into my videos. and I will see you guys on the next one.